This is an addition to the four Headless Horsemen of the Apocalypse from the first documentary called A Message from Our Saviour. Only 4 companies control the food production and distribution for 90% of the world, as these books taught me. They are Cargill, that own Monsanto, that have genetically modified all vegetables, the Louis Dreyfus Group, ADM and Bung. Then there are only 4 pharmaceutical companies that control the medicines and vaccines. They are Glaxo, Sanofi Pasteur, Pfizer and Merck. Merck was the first producer of smallpox, measles, mumps and tuberculosis TB vaccines. My other documentaries teach that Hippocrates taught us to eat the foods of the soil, and the Bible teaches the green vegetables that the Irish are now being advised not to eat. Why modify the vegetables? And how comes people are getting sicker and sicker? What are they doing to the vegetables that used to heal us? Dr. Weston Price said the only ones to get TB were the only ones to eat the white man's foods. White sugar, the apple, in the Bible, and white flour, the leaven, in the Bible. I thought these people said they were followers of Jesus. God, the creator of all the good, warned us not to eat the apple because of a fungus, yeast, Saccharomyces cerevisiae, as our ancients knew, and Jesus warned his followers to beware of the leaven of the Pharisees because of TB. Cancer has been around as long as the apple, as the Dr. Holder Clark interview taught you, and so has all other bacterial disease. This is how these people have always built their empires, on the back of all the sickness and disease, pain, suffering and torture. That is why Jesus continually threw their money tables in the air. In the first episode I taught you that Ascaris destroyed the people of the Viking times. Now your foods are flooded with bacteria once again. As I said in the beginning, they have got the world to be like them, to only worry about money and not what is in your foods and water and now atmosphere. They are all infested with bacteria, as the Bible warns. War is another horseman. The Iraq war caused by lies and spies, as you witnessed recently, from one group of people and the British lawmen. And that is why, as I said to you earlier, Jesus detested the rule of law. He said a lawman will be further away from the gates of heaven than a rich man, who he also said a camel would easier get through an eye of a needle than a rich man into heaven. This is how much he detested these two peoples. This book teaches that the British and French lords were the cause of the First World War, and it was the lords of the British Queen that brought the apple and the potato to Ireland and Europe. Recent evidence prove that they caused the Iraq War, and America now controls the food, water, atmosphere and medicines. American science rules the European Union. This war was a carbon copy of the First World War. When we have the story of the Second World War, you see that Hitler stopped them from being scientists, doctors, lawyers, and warned his people not to eat in their supermarkets. Recently, it was unearthed that experiments were being carried out on Irish orphans from 1930 to 36 in Ireland, while Fianna Fáil and Labour were in coalition under the guidance of the Vatican. Then, when the European Union was formed, while Fianna Fáil was in Ireland and the Labour Party was in Britain, all the foods were flooded with the elements from the apple, sugar, parabens and yeast. The foods that you were warned of in the Bible, their first biological weapon. These elements were used in the sacraments in so-called honour of Jesus by the Vatican that allowed the experiments to be carried out on Irish orphans. This book teaches that the Vatican once owned a bank and a pharmaceutical company. One group of people brought science and religion to the West. Science and religion have their origins in the Kabbalah, the demonic worshipping cult of the Hebrew, and Kabbalah means mouth to ear, secret. That is why secret societies like the Freemasons and the Brotherhood control these companies, and that is why the Antichrist from Britain that tricked these people to go to war is a Freemason, as this book teaches. I told you I am a witness for God, the creator of all the good, and his Son, our Saviour, is my guide, and it is his story I am telling. The Iraq War is the catalyst of the Third World War, as predicted by Nostradamus, that said it would be caused while the Antichrist was in power. He was in power in Britain when the Iraq War was caused. I have another documentary that proves that the leader of the British Labour Party at the time the Iraq War was caused is that man. The first part of this documentary shows you that it's this Pope who Jesus was referring to as the false prophet. And I also have another documentary that prove who the false prophet is. Death is another horseman of the apocalypse, which is everywhere because of disease caused by toxic, rancid, bacteria-infested foods, including their meats, as the recent scandal was unearthed in Ireland while the Labour Party were in coalition with Fianna Fáil. I showed you that their foods are pure, as Jesus warned us. They can keep their foods free of bacteria.
What about the fluke that you talked about, the fasciolopsis fluke? How did we get that into our body?
It's in the meat and the dairy industry, except in kosher foods. We were just discovering that kosher food, and this will go into the book still, that kosher dairy products do not have these parasites, which shows you it's a matter of cleanliness.
It was discovered that a British supermarket owned by British lords that sponsors the Labour Party was supplying these meats, and they blamed the suppliers. But they all have food scientists working for them, so how comes they didn't detect these rancid meats? I showed you the French meat scandal, and the pharmaceutical company was Sanofi Pasteur that stopped making antibacterial drugs. The article said that the meat reached Britain, and the supermarket embroiled in the middle of the meat scandal now controls the meat and dairy industry in Britain and Ireland. Meat and dairy are the two main ways for bacteria to enter our bodies via the food chain.
People who were raised in Japan, the Philippines, Korea, China, never had heart disease, prostate cancer, colon cancer, breast cancer, rheumatoid arthritis, multiple sclerosis.
Virtually the Western diet was non-existent. They had no animal products. They had no dairy, no meat.
We learned that we could turn on and turn off cancer growth just by adjusting the level of intake of that protein.
I knew at that point what caused most diseases.
Our national authorities are simply excluding this concept in order to protect the status quo.
61% of the American diet today is processed foods.
Convenience food. The kids of today are not expected to live as long as their parents. This is really serious.
Processed foods don't even have 1/10 the original nutrients that were in the food in the native state.
We've never had food companies this powerful in our history.
You don't catch a disease, you eat it, as the Bible teaches. But you wouldn't know the truth because the executioners of the truth, my guide, brought religion and science to the West, created by the Hebrew that now infest all your governments, including Ireland. This page from a book on the occult teaches that the Mexican civilization was not alone in practicing human sacrifice. Carthage, another one of their empires, also was notorious for its molochs, which means mass incineration of children, a practice derived, so it seems, from Hebrews. Moloch is a corruption of the name Melech, a king of the Hebrew, and one of the gods of the Ammonites. And one religion in our world today refers to their God as the king of the universe. And the ones that brought science to the world, the Freemasons, refer to their God as the architect of the universe. Jesus warned you to protect your mind, because it's using your mind that he's creating his world in this world. That is why I taught you in the first one, alcohol makes you murder, marijuana makes you murder, and then their press taught us that these people said that God made them do it. You must now understand that alcohol is made from the apple. The Bible teaches you who made the apple. The devil, the serpent, one of many forms of the devil. Outside all your pharmacists is his emblem. The snake. They sacrificed their children to their God to obtain good harvest. These masses are known as black satanic masses. Panorama, a British investigative program, secretly filmed one of these masses attended by world leaders. This video has now been destroyed. They can hang on to films for over 100 years, this organisation, the BBC, but yet this one has mysteriously disappeared. As I said, they burnt a book that Jesus produced. The parchments are now known as the Nag Hammadi Gospels, but the world has been tricked to follow the Dead Sea Scrolls, which teach that he wanted to go back to the time of the Hebrew. Surely now you must see that's an insane belief after all the evidence I'm showing you. In 1976, Pope Paul VI confided to a shocked audience that the smoke of the devil has entered the very sanctuary of St. Peter's Cathedral. He also stated that he had knowledge of a midnight hour black satanic mass being conducted at the altar. The incineration of your children is now being carried out from within. Their bodies are now full of all cancer-causing elements that are now in all foods, drinks and water. Cancer is the body on fire from within, caused, as you now know, originally by the apple, and all the elements of the apple are now in all processed foods, owned by only 4 companies. The truth is always around you, but you fail to see it, because you believe the truth deniers. The scientists, they teach you there are no cures, or your food has nothing to do with your well-being, and then create weapons for you to go and kill others, caused by laws, created by lies. And you fail to see that Jesus warned you of their foods, their money men, and their rule of law. One religion have 613 laws as part of their religion. Their foods is pure, they avoid yeast, and they worship money. They are the controllers of these 4 companies, and the world fails to see, because you have sympathy for them after what happened after the Second World War. Well, their history shows that they have incinerated their own children. The evidence I am gathering for you will prove that history does not repeat itself. How can a word repeat an event? An event is a moment in time. 2 moments in time were the lifetime of Jesus and Hippocrates, both healers. Surely now you must see that history is repeated by the same group of people. It is why George Orwell taught that he who controls the past controls the future, and he who controls the present controls the past. This one group of people have always controlled religion, science, and history. They also control other modes of education, the economy, and the law. When you are taught by a liar, you can only become a liar. These people control your banks and cause the recession that stops people from being able to pay for their medicines. The last horseman is famine. It is on its way, as I taught you in the first clip. Jesus is warning me, but we can stop it. We must stop them spraying slurry on our soil and spray seawater instead. We must also stop them from injecting our earth with their chemicals that don't work. They're killing us, so they'll kill our earth. We must stop believing in these people. You must not have sympathy for them. Sympathy is for the devil. When you have sympathy for somebody, you are blinded by what they have done to you. The history of the world shows that just one group of people have done all the horrors that we have witnessed. And it is as Jesus warned you, they are children of hell. They are children of the devil. And the occult teaches that Isis and Osiris, that are honoured and worshipped by ancient religions, and science also worships and honours these two, are who they follow. They are Adam and Eve in your Bible, and they bore the Hebrew race. They turned their back on God, the creator of all the good, ate the apple, which severely distorted their minds. Because when you first take a chemical that is new to your body, new to your system, it severely affects your mind, it warps your mind. And that is how they've destroyed you, by putting chemicals in your food that severely affect your mind. And that is why the world has now reverted back to the time of the Hebrew. Homosexuality, paedophilia, bestiality, necrophilia, grotesque acts of violence, debauchery, sexual crimes, horrific murders, torture, lies, spies, assassinations, money worship, all disease, cancers, lupus, viruses, cannibalism, Zika virus, all of them, as I said in my first one, because we've never ever followed the message from Jesus or his Father, the creator of all the good in our world. You've been tricked to follow these people, and they keep saying Jesus is one of them. I detest when I hear somebody in an American accent saying that, because there's one thing all my life I knew: to never trust America. I knew there'd come a time when these people are hell-bent on war, hatred and revenge, and spreading nothing but sickness and disease. The world must look towards Russia. Twice they attempted to disarm our world of nuclear weapons. America refused. Many times the world has attempted to decrease the poisons in the atmosphere. America keeps refusing. People of Ireland, I have another warning for you. You are facing extreme weather conditions for the month of July. It is as Nostradamus warns. They now have a weapon of mass manipulation. It's HAARP, H-A-A-R-P. I witnessed the subliminal side of this machine being tested out on British youth by the Labour Party outside the supermarket that is sponsor of the Labour Party, the ones that were caught in the middle of all the meat scandal. This supermarket also sold alcohol at a loss. That's why the children were hanging around outside their supermarket. Then people of Britain were tricked. They didn't want to stop people from having fun. Alcohol, as you witness every weekend, doesn't bring fun to your societies, it brings hell. The subliminal side of this machine does work. They were questioned what they were doing. They said that they were sending high audio signals to disperse these youth. And HAARP does control the weather systems. It is what's affecting the weather around our world at the moment. And if they carry on, people, then the biggest tsunami the world has ever seen, predicted by Nostradamus, will soon unfold in our world, because they are messing with the ions in your atmosphere, and it's going to alter the electrical current, which is going to cause the world to wobble. Nostradamus predicted it would rock on its axis, and this will be the cause of the biggest tsunami. It's going to wipe out the whole entire eastern board of America and Britain and Ireland. Wake up, world. Jesus is here. He always has been there, but you were tricked to deny him when you believe in science that teaches you there are no cures. You must see now that your sickness and disease comes from what you eat. Where did the expression food poisoning come from? How many more warnings do you need about their meats? You've had everything: salmonella, MRSA, CJD, everything. The list is endless. And you've allowed these people to get away with it many, many, many times. But they've only experimented on you all the time while they've been in power. And now, people of Ireland, they're in control of your country because they control the Supreme Courts. And they are going to change your constitution. This is what they have done all around the world, especially America, that's now gone secular. Secular is modern day Sadducees, modern day Kabbalism. They have now tricked the world to follow their God. From the Kabbalah, religion and science are not the way of Jesus. His way is the truth. There are cures out there, as my first documentary taught you. But every time I mention the word cure, people look up, look down, look away. You're insane to believe science. It's killing you, but yet you still carry on eating their foods. You've been warned about sugar, but you'll still go to their fast food restaurants and eat their processed foods. That's because you're compelled to by yeast, the devil that's within you all. Why do you think the Bible warned you of the apple and then the bread? They both contained yeast. It is as that picture on the screen teaches. Truth is still truth, even if no one believes it. A lie is still a lie, even if everyone believes it. When you don't believe people like me that tell you that I've cured myself of asthma, you are a liar. You deny the truth, just as these people did, and that is why they executed Jesus. I am one of many. We are children of the light. Please do not be like them people in that picture and deny what I am teaching. Otherwise, you will soon be like them and fall off the cliff once again into the abyss. People of Ireland, you must rise up, but do it peacefully. Peace is the only way of Jesus. You must seek the truth. Your government will soon get millions of you killed.